In less than 40 days, the 2012-13 rain season will be on. Are farmers ready for the season? The time to prepare is now. Timely preparation for the growing season is very critical to a farmer's success. Meanwhile, conservation farming has continued to perform wonders among farmers that have adopted it. Although it is perceived to be a peasant way of farming, the empirical evidence on the ground state the opposite.
Previously, I used to do conventional. I've seen the potential of conservation farming itself. I've improved yields, and I was able to build a bigger house. Previously, I used to stay in my small house, as you can see. I had to buy a Scotch cat. I didn't have animals, but at least I'm able to have 15 animals.
The difference between a farmer practicing conventional and conservation farming is so clear to be missed. The improved harvest and livelihood among farmers practicing conservation farming is a source of self-esteem. Testimonies from farmers who believe conservation farming has transformed their livelihood abound.
Conservation farming, this is the 3rd year. We have discovered that conservation is faster. You don't take much time. In 14 hectares, maybe I took for maybe 10 days to finish it. So I've seen that in conservation, there is benefit. You don't waste much time. It's cheaper and short. So that is the advantage of conservation. But previous years, then it means there was no profit.
I stayed in this house for somewhere 15 to 20 years. When I was living in this house, the type of farming that I was using is conventional farming. So when the CFU guy came, they introduced the new type of farming, which is conservation farming. I practiced it. Within a period of 3 years, I managed to build a house through that farming, which I adopted, the conservation farming. It's easier, it's profitable. I can say so because I managed to build a house that I was failing for so many years. So this time I'm happy because I adopted the new technology of farming, which is conservation farming.
Uliwibo conservation bulabereka. Kamboja kusangu na bulapa kuti muntu ahambane. Kambola lipinga boji no jindija jirimola wahangulipinga muri August ulipo. Then September ulipo. Gumama nino a September omana ulipinga. Yebo wala onlawire buhanga agumpa ma website. Ali mujirapa kuti dizilo taluzi dizilo munji ali muhenge mujindiji honto. Ya uhange umane mujindiji honto. So bulimo conservation mbubo tumaningi. Winda bo pulau kama bo pulau ulindira hola ebola.
I started conservation. This is my 4th year now. I started in 2009. Since I started conservation, we've managed to buy an Isuzu light truck. We've managed to construct this house because all along we used to live in a 3-roomed house, but when we started conservation now, we've managed to build this house. It's 7-roomed house now.
In 2006 nindakatalika bulimi wa conservation farming. Mu 2008 kwinda mu ulimi wa conservation farming yakisa mutalika kuyakanganda ilyo. Hii njo nganda ono ndesa mukuyaka ndakaswa mu nganda area kwinda mu program. Then indakesa ndola mu wena plant wamba inchito ichitebiyani yubeko. So ono ndakesa mukola ka wena plant mlandu kalo kachanika kwambai kalo kene kalashanga yoyo mbuto ali mukalashanga fertilizer ali kalashanga lime. Then uno mwaka ali mutoboneka kwamba into sotoka pa mwaka wa mana ndalima kushika mu iyo ndakaninga ndatola yo kudepo.
If you ask around if conservation farming works, you definitely get these responses.
Oh, it works.
ayipasa mphindu.
I personally practice it.
bulimi busuma sana
ubu bulimi ndabuchana kwamba mbulimi buboto
nene mbonamo busuma mwandini musefu basefu barebomba sana utwiraka na conservation farming inosha twafika po mwandini ebulimi fye na mono bwalondoroka.
Let's have more time to spread this conservation farming in every corner.
If these responses are anything to go by, why are other farmers delaying to adopt such a well-paying farming method?
The reason that I can say is this: people, they believe to see achievement that he has seen from someone. Especially this previous year, most of farmers have joined us. So what I'm seeing, we are now, the farmers are joining this type of farming.
The first year I started working with these farmers, very few joined conservation farming. In the second year, the number doubled. In the third year, okay, we had about 40% of the farmers practicing conservation farming. Farmers now are coming in numbers to join into conservation farming. In the next 5 years, I don't think there will be any other farmers who will still be in the conventional way of farming.
Slowly they are adjusting. It's only that, behavior change is a slow process. Releasing something that belongs to you. Equally, even me, it was difficult because I grew up in using conventional farming. It became part and parcel of me. So releasing something that belongs to you is quite difficult unless you see the benefit. So in short, these people have seen the benefit of conservation farming, but that belonging, if they release it, it's like they have lost something. So slowly they are talking about it and they are changing.
During the 2011-12 farming season, Chief Chikanda of Kalomo tried conservation farming. What message does he have for his subjects?
I used to hear about conservation farming, but last season I worked closely with the CFU as well as visiting their offices in Choma. I tried a very small area. I saw very good crop performance despite bad weather. I also observed that there were no drought effects. Today I'm urging all farmers that this CF practice is very effective and the right technology for us today, because it gives benefits to every farmer who tries it.
What category of farmers are eligible to adopt conservation farming methods?
Any farmer who is very serious in farming, who takes farming as a business venture, then he is supposed to practice conservation farming because he wants to get maximum profit from it.
It is appropriate for everybody for whatever kind of equipment they are using. So at the moment, we're dealing with hoe farmers, we're dealing with ox farmers, we're dealing with mechanized tillage systems, up to all the way up to zero-till systems for big commercial farmers.
What does it take to convert to conservation farming?
Conservation agriculture is anchored on 3 principles. Principle number 1, minimum soil disturbance. This means that we should disturb the soil as minimally as possible. The second principle is crop rotations. We must rotate the crops. And finally, we must have soil cover. The idea, of course, of soil cover is to ensure that the soils are protected from the heat rays, the violent rains, and so on.
You must have a vision, because when you have a vision, you know what you want, and you know at what stage you need these inputs, and what, the type of method that you are going to use in terms of farming. When you practice conservation, you need to be committed. You need to have the headset in time. You need to understand what you are doing.
Weed control is another aspect the conservation farming farmer has to get right.
Herbicides can benefit the farmers, cut down on the cost, cut down on the time taken to do weeding, and eventually leading to increased productivity and more money and food security. As CFU, we are not just pushing them, just to use herbicides. It is accompanied by information which we give them through our various trainings. We do a lot of demonstration, we do a lot of field days, but also most importantly, practically training them how to use those herbicides. And we are doing this in collaboration with other stakeholders.
Could a farmer who has tried conservation farming go back to conventional farming methods?
I'm not dreaming of going back to conventional farming, and actually I've sold all the plows. Anything to do with conventional farming, it's not in my farm. I've sold it.
Aga bwabota buli mumbu baleta amaguwa nota unatujiregedde usiga wano bya tuli bambidde uti bantu nakuzumanana.
Ati mumbera mu Zambia tacha pampa harvester baimbira paripa chifuka cha conservation.
For the past 4 years I've been working in this area. There are farmers who've adopted conservation farming, and those farmers, what they've learned from conservation farming is realizing a profit they've never achieved in their life. Can those farmers run away from that profit, get back to the old method, which never meant anything to them? It's impossible.
The Conservation Farming Unit has been promoting conservation farming for over a decade now. Have they converted enough farmers to conservation farming?
Last year I was leading somewhere to 50 farmers. So the number has increased up to somewhere over 100, 105, 110 this year. So what I'm seeing, we are now, the farmers are joining this type of farming.
We are not satisfied with the current numbers. We have converted just under 200,000 farmers as conservation farming unit.
What is their dream?
We would like to move numbers to almost double what we have now by the year 2015.
What makes conservation farming farmers tick?
Well, they do the right things. So when there is bad rains, when there is good rains, when there is difficulties and stress factors in productivity, they still have a crop insurance, they still get a crop for their food, they still get a production for sale. So they stand out because basically they are doing the right things, and people see that these are the people who are in other places accused of witchcraft in agriculture. But they're doing the right things, so they stand out because they are getting successful.
How do conservation farming farmers manage to spare time and go into other productive ventures such as gardening?
I've got a lot of fruits around here that I take care of just because in conservation I've got much time to rest. So in my spare time when I don't have anything to do, make sure I look after my orchard and I've got my garden there.
Are these success stories enough to move one into trying conservation farming?
Ndakaunka kuli babo basi bulimi ibalima balabo bajisima tractor imapati ndakajana kwamba kuti bulimi bwabo buli buyoga botumaningi ibwinda abantu balima abobo jakandi urwaiha kwamba kuti andime uno mwaka ndianda kwamba kuti ndinjire mukati ikabulimi obu bwalo bukhalirira bwa conservation farming.
Ndagulanga uli baba bensi mambo tukeze imila ta uli mabobo chibotumaningi. So ndanyomene ni wamaningi winda so kubula fertilizer. Bali mabobo mbali maga boti kutali so kuhabonza lo.
Should reef food continue to be handed out?
Tibayita bayambuli mbutu jita wano. Benzoma barahutu atonze twakwina utikarombe ngurumende kutamu tupeja kuli tuyakuhutugiramu.
Boma senga tweshe masiku ose kutirandisa chakudya ayi. Chifukwa chiyani tiyo pakulima pamene achitanzatu. Tipitilize chihole hole achite monga tamsi yako mbichana.
Food relief should be given only in years when there's a national disaster. Unfortunately, food relief is given every year in this country in one form or the other. But this is destructive to the productivity in the agricultural sector. It is also demoralizing to the hard-working farmers who work hard and produce food for themselves, only to see the neighbor who was sleeping and drinking during the time of hard work being given food by other organizations. This actually creates a very bad culture of dependency.
The Conservation Farming Unit is currently conducting trainings on various subjects regarding conservation farming. Interested farmers are encouraged to attend at no cost at all. Farmers are further advised to contact the CFU staff wherever they may be for more detailed information on the services fellow farmers are offering.